Hi everyone, I hope you are doing awesome. In this video, we will review the Byte Latent Transformer or BLT paper, a newly published paper by Meta, a byte-level tokenizer-free architecture. Despite being a tokenizer-free architecture, BLT matches tokenization-based LLM performance for the first time at a scale with significant improvements in inference efficiency and robustness. BLT segments bytes into dynamically sized patches, and in fact, this idea enables BLT to scale well, match the performance of tokenization-based LLMs, and exhibit improvements in inference efficiency. The outline of this video is as follows. At first, we discuss the shortcomings and issues that tokenization leads to. Then, we discuss different approaches for segmenting bytes into patches. We will especially discuss strided patching and space patching. Afterwards, we do a quick recap of the concept of entropy, a very important concept in information theory, and then we discuss the entropy-based patching approach. After that, we talk about BLT architecture, and finally, we discuss the results. Language models take a long sentence as input. But here's the thing. Those long sentences are broken down into smaller pieces called tokens. Existing large language models, or LLMs, are trained almost entirely end-to-end except for tokenization, a heuristic preprocessing step that groups bytes into a static set of tokens. Such tokens bias how a string is compressed, leading to shortcomings such as modality sensitivity, sensitivity to input noise, and etc. There are several methods for tokenization, and one common approach is white-space tokenization, where the sentence is split based on spaces. Another type of tokenization could be character-level or byte-level tokenization, where the sentence is broken down into individual characters or even bytes. While tokenization can be done at the character level, it is not always the most effective method for processing text. Training large language models directly on bytes can get insanely expensive at a scale because of the super long sequence length and the quadratic memory complexity of the self-attention mechanism. Additionally, don't forget the heavy computational load of fully connected feed-forward layers that have to process every single byte. Prior works mitigate this by employing more efficient self-attention or attention-free architectures. That approach mostly works well for training smaller models though. However, this issue can be mitigated by grouping bytes into patches. There are several ways to group bytes into patches for further processing. In this video, we will take a look at strided patching, space patching, and entropy patching. Perhaps the most straightforward way to group bytes is into patches of fixed size. In a strided patching, a fixed size sliding window with the length L slides across the sequence of bytes and segments each group of L consecutive bytes into a patch. The fixed stride is easy to implement for training and inference, provides a straightforward mechanism for changing the average patch size, and therefore makes it easy to control flop cost. However, this patching function comes with significant downsides. First, compute is not dynamically allocated to where it is needed most. One could be either wasting a transformer step or not allocating sufficient compute for bytes dense with information such as math. Second, this leads to inconsistent and non-contextual patching of similar byte sequences, such as the same word being split differently. In a space patching, patches are created after any space-like bytes that are natural boundaries for linguistic units in many languages. The big downside of these methods is that they are not learnable and use a fixed static way to segment bytes into patches, which limits flexibility. Another approach introduced in the BLT paper is entropy-based patching, where bytes are segmented into patches dynamically based on the entropy of the next token prediction. Before jumping into the details of entropy patching, we need to do a quick recap of the concept of entropy in information theory. Let's say you're picking one chip out of 10 white chip randomly. You're absolutely certain the chosen chip will be white. Now, imagine there's just one black chip among the 10. In this case, you can't be completely sure about the color of the chosen chip, but it is highly probable to be white. Now, imagine half of the sheep are black and the other half are white. In this case, you're completely unsure about the color of the chosen sheep, and the chances of picking a black or white sheep are equal. As you can see, the uncertainty level about the chosen sheep's color changes according to the probability of its color. In information theory, the entropy of a random variable is a measure that quantifies the average uncertainty level associated with the variable's potential states or possible outcomes. The formulas for calculating entropy for discrete and continuous random variables are provided here. The entropy of predicting the next token can be used to determine patch boundaries, as mentioned earlier. Large language models, or LLMs, are typically autoregressive, meaning they predict the next token based on the previous ones by projecting a discrete probability distribution over the entire vocabulary. This makes it straightforward to compute entropy for each predicted token, providing valuable insights into the uncertainty of prediction. To determine patch boundaries, the authors train a small byte-level autoregressive language model on the training data for BLT and compute next byte entropies under the language model probability distribution over the byte vocabulary. They experiment with two methods to identify patch boundaries given entropies of the next predicted token. The first method finds points above a global entropy threshold as illustrated in this figure. The second identifies points that are high relative to previous entropy. The second approach can also be interpreted as identifying points that break approximate monotonically decreasing entropy pattern within the patch. Patch boundaries are identified during a lightweight pre-processing step executed during data loading. In conclusion, entropy-based patching offers a dynamic, data-driven method for segmenting bytes into patches, adapting to the structure of the data. Now that we understand how tokens are constructed, let's dive into the BLT architecture. BLT architecture consists of three subnetworks: the small local encoder, the large global transformer, and the small local decoder. The local encoder embeds the patches and returns the patch embeddings. It's worth mentioning that the local encoder is much smaller than the global transformer. The global transformer takes in patch embeddings and processes the sequence of patch embeddings. The global transformer is much larger than the local encoder and decoder. The local decoder reconstructs the bytes from the predicted patch embeddings generated by the global transformer. This three-part architecture improves the computational resources consumption efficiency by using a dynamic data-driven patching approach based on prediction entropy and local encoder to embed the long byte sequences to much shorter sequences of patch embeddings. As a result, the global transformer can scale larger and larger without significantly increasing computational costs. The authors demonstrate that their model scales effectively, achieving significantly lower bits per byte compared to other approaches in the field. I hope you find this video informative and educational. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon to receive notifications when new videos are posted, and support the channel. Thanks.